My name is Caleb Webster Alt. This is for FTT-104 52300, week 4, assignment 2. So, to begin, I'm going to show you the firearm prior to disassembly. So this is a Springfield model 87A, chambered in .22 caliber. Also, I'm going to have evidence clearly showing that the feed source and or ammunition has been removed. We'll get to that. And that the chamber and my workspace are clear of any live ammunition. So I do want to confirm that my workspace is clear of any live ammunition. My phone's in the charger, so I can't be moving it all around. The best I can do is that. I mean, that's my laptop. Got some tools, but so let's get right into this. Let's go over clearing the firearm. So the firearm is already on safe. The safe is in the forward position. So we're gonna remove the magazine tube or feed source, and then we'll put that off to the side here. And then I like to, you could tip it upside down. There's no ammo in there. And then you're gonna pull back on the bolt, push in on the charging handle, and that'll lock it to the rearward position. And you can see in there that it is clear. And you can also see into the bore that it is clear. And I will visually look as well, of course. And it is clear. And so we have a clear firearm. So now we've gone over that, we're gonna go over how to field strip the firearm to its basic parts. So let's begin doing that. You have a cap on the end, and you're just going to get a hold of that cap and rotate it. So once that comes out, you gotta be careful because it's under spring tension. And then we can pull our hammer assembly out. This is our hammer assembly. Here's our firing pin. Pull the bolt back. Shove the bolt back even more. Oh no. Take a pencil and shove that bolt back. Might have to depress the trigger while doing so. So we'll do that so that the bolt can travel back properly. And then you come up front here and you push it back the rest of the way. And then you can grab it out. So there's your bolt. So for detailed stripping, we are going to take the barrel and receiver right off of the stock. And you can also detail strip the ejectors on the bolt as well as the hammer assembly. So we're going to set that stock off to the side for now. And we'll also get to this and these components in a minute. So to detail strip the ejector, the actual ejecting side has a much stronger spring, so I cannot remove that without a special tool, but the extracting side is easier, and that can be removed. I like to use this little thing, which comes in the Otis kit, and I just pull down on the ejector, or the extractor's plunger, that is, and then you can hopefully, oh, there we go, pull that extractor out, and you can clean it and all that. And this is what it looks like. So hold on, without losing the parts. You have a little plunger. That's your plunger. And this plunger in here can be compressed. And there's a spring behind that plunger. I'm not going to take it out, but I don't want to lose anything because nothing is broken. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to very carefully pull back on that plunger to give me clearance. And I'll even wipe this off a little bit to give me clearance to slip this back in place. And then once it's in place, you can release that plunger and test it. And it's back in position. So that's how you detail strip a bolt in its extractors. Now for the hammer assembly reminds me of a AK-47 recoil spring. So with its retaining ring. So you're just gonna pull down on both of the springs, and then you can remove this retaining pin, and then all that's gonna slide up. And these springs are just gonna come out. Here's the larger spring, your skinnier spring, here's your pin, and all of that. Fairly simple, right? Well, then you just put it all back together how it came apart. Put that there. Skinny spring first. Large spring next. And then you just start to feed this down. You stick that back in there, and then you let the spring tension come out, back up. And there you go. It's a fully disassembled and reassembled hammer assembly. So now we're going to get on to these components. This is your lifter mechanism. This is what lifts that round into the chamber and loads it properly. This is an 85-year-old gun. Other things that will have to be removed, or normally would be removed, is your magazine tube, but we will not be removing this because I have modified it, and I have it in a certain position, and I do not want it to be removed from there. Your magazine well, which is connected to your magazine tube, both of these would have to be removed, but in this case I'm just going to show you how to remove the lifter mechanism. And the fire control group, this can all be taken apart as well, but nothing is broken on this. Keep in mind it's 85 years old. If nothing's broken, I'm not touching it, so I'm not taking it apart, but I will show you how to take apart this lifter mechanism. So what I like to do is I take just a normal flathead, and you have these springs. These little spring tongs are resting in a little V-notch, and you just got to lift them up and outwards so that you can take this spring off. So we'll get to doing that. So I just pull up, and I, let them swing outwards right off that V-notch, and it falls. As you can see, it dropped. And you're going to do that to the other side as well. Let it drop. And then I just like to very gently push that pin out some so that I can grab it and I can pull it out. While you're doing this, keep your thumb on the spring so that it don't just spring off somewhere. So you have your lifter pin, and put that down. You have your lifter spring, and put that down. And then your actual lifter mechanism, which we got stuck, we'll just dump it out. Here's your two spacers. And here's your lifter. So this is your lifter. Your two spacers go on either side of this gun, or on this lifter. And they only go one way, so you can't mess it up. So you have those two spacers, your lifter, your spring, your pin, and those all connect to what I call the magazine well. I don't have a schematic of this rifle pulled up right now, so I don't know the official name of this part, but I would assume they would refer to it as a magazine well. This magazine well is held in by these two screws, so you got a screw here, and you got a screw on the other side as well. So you remove those two screws, and then you take a brass punch, and you punch this magazine tube forward. And then that allows this magazine well to pull out from the tube and up and out of the receiver. I'm not going to do that like I've described, because I have modified the tube and I've twisted the port to where I can set around right here, and with gravity it just falls into the port and loads itself. Makes loading much faster, much easier. I don't want to mess with that anymore, so we're leaving it at that. So to reassemble everything, it says it's just everything backwards. So we're going to take our lifter, make sure our 2 springs are on properly. You're going to turn that upside down to where that little tongue right there is pointing out, and then you got these 2 tongues facing downwards into the receiver. You're going to then keep your spring and pin on standby while you lower this back into here. And you're going to look for light. You want to line those holes up. Once you line those holes up, you take your spring and you put them, and you just rest it on here. Like so. Just rest it there. Take your pin, and you're going to go through this one side of the spring first, and you're going to wiggle it in there. You got to line it all up. As you can see, there we go. Got it in there. So now that's in there, all good. And this is not under tension yet, so we got to reset this spring. And what you do to reset the spring is, I still do it with a flathead. We'll do it with this stubby one. Hopefully you can see this. Probably not, though. But what I like to do is I like to push this out away from the receiver, because if you don't, it's just going to run into the screw and it's not going to go forward. So you need to rotate this spring out and away from this screw. You need to get it forward, just like that. So let it pivot forward, and then you can grab it with your finger and pull it. See? Now that one's in the forward position. You also have to do it to the back one. So I'm going to do that to the back one. Pull it to the forward position. And then once you got that, you then take your thing, or your screwdriver, and you get up and underneath of this mechanism. Just like so. You get that flathead underneath that spring, so then you can start to move that flathead forward and lift that spring back up into its V-notch. You're probably not going to be able to see me do this on camera, but you understand the concept, hopefully. I'm right-handed, so let me do it with my right hand. So we got that side in. As you can see, that spring is back up and in its V-notch. And we're also going to do it to this side. So we're going to get it. Boom. And that one's back in. And then you take your bolt, your firing pin, your hammer assembly, and those all ride together like so. You put it upside down, and you load it through the back. The guts right through the back, as you can see. Just like so. You can pull the trigger to let it ease in there better. There we go. There. Then you have your charging handle. And as you can see, your firing pin runs through this channel, which keeps your charging handle on. So you're just going to pull back on that assembly until that firing pin comes clear of that hole again, like so. And then you're able to insert your charging handle from the side. As you can see, it pops out there. And you can push that assembly back in, and then that won't come out. You're going to then, to finish it off, take your end cap, put it on there, decompress that spring, and get a thread in there. And then you can thread it on. After that, it's as easy as taking the stock, meeting the receiver and the stock back together. Take your flathead, tighten this screw here. And then you take your magazine and you put it back in the feed tube. And that is the gun fully assembled again. and we'll also show that it functions. So we'll cycle the action, pull it out. And we'll place it on safe. And we'll set it off to the side. Now, this video is 15 minutes. We've already went over the video requirements, but I'm hoping that, the whole video was informative, and so hopefully that's good. So we've showed the firearm prior to disassembly. I've shown evidence clearly showing that the feed source and or ammunition has been removed. I also showed evidence that the chamber and my workspace are clear of any live ammunition. The firearm field strip to its basic components, we showed that. And I also showed the firearm detailed strip to a complete condition as possible, given the tools that I have access to. So we went over how to remove an extractor on the bolt. We went over how to disassemble the hammer assembly. We went over how to remove your lifter mechanism. I went over that you can remove your magazine well, and you can remove your magazine feed tube very easily. And we'll go over the tools that you need to do that. I just use a couple sets of hammers. So you use a brass hammer, and you use a little steel hammer. Could be anyone. I even have a ball peen hammer, but that's just too big for what I'm doing. You want a set of brass pins, just in case you don't want to gnarl up any metal components. And you want a set of steel pins, just in case, you need a little more gumption and need more oomph. But really, that's all you need. Just two screwdrivers. I can even get it done with just this one. Just 2 screwdrivers, a couple hammers for the magazine tube to remove it, a chisel set or 2, so that you have options. So that's all. This video is too long for the video requirement, but I hope that suffices. We're going to end it here. Thank you very much.